It could be one of the most elaborate prints we've seen on a Herpa Wings model in 2021, but it does also come at a hefty price, so there's definitely enough to talk about right after the drop. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a Boeing 737-800 of Sun Express Airlines. At the front of the box we have a cutout so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of that we find the Sun Express branding as well as the branding of the German football club Eintracht Frankfurt. On the back side of the box we then unfortunately have the dreadful box design of Herpa Wings, where we get yet another cutout which does not protect my aircraft model and makes the box rather unstable, and of course it just looks very cheap. And here she is, the Boeing 737-800 of Sun Express in the special Eintracht Frankfurt livery. Now, what is Eintracht Frankfurt, you might ask if you're not from Germany? Well, that's a good question. Eintracht Frankfurt is basically a football club placed in Frankfurt in Germany. And Eintracht basically roughly translates to something like United. And since the airline is a sponsor of the football club, they then had the opportunity to create this rather elaborate but really awesome livery. And this is of course what we want to take a closer look at today. And as always, we start our tour around the aircraft model with a look at the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer find the logo of Eintracht Frankfurt. At the top of the stabilizer we then find the last two letters of the registration code and the full registration code, as well as the Turkish flag we find on the fuselage, where we also have the writing of Eintracht, which, as I explained, basically would translate into United. Towards the very tail of the aircraft we do then also have a bit of detailing around the APU exhaust. At the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage we find the writing of Sun Express, and superimposed above the writing of Sun we find three letters SGE, which is a shortened version of the name of the football club, so then it basically says SGE Express. Yes, very clever. Then underneath that we find the aircraft type specification and the branding of Eintracht Frankfurt, as well as underneath the cockpit windows the Sun Express logo. That leads us through the cockpit section itself, which has, well, the cockpit windows and the window wipers added, and that's about it. From there we can move on to the engine nacelles. They carry the pretty much standard livery or color scheme of Sun Express, with the silver leading edge printed on, as well as the sunexpress.com web address. But if you were hoping for other printed details such as safety markings, well then you have to keep looking, because you won't find them here. So while the print is good but doesn't offer us everything we would like to have, I would say the physical detailing of the engines is actually pretty decent. Then on the fuselage, just above the wings, we have the emergency exits printed on, which leads us straight to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at, starting over the top side, where we can see the different flap slats and spoilers have been carved out rather nicely. We also have the markings for the emergency exit printed on. The underside offers us some more nice physical detailing, but my highlight on the wings of course are the winglets, which I think Herpa has executed very well, especially also considering the job they did here with the print. The landing gear is the standard landing gear that Herpa uses for all 737NG aircraft types, so the 700 and 800, and that's a good thing because it actually looks pretty darn good. The only thing of course I have to complain about here is simply the fact that there are no printed details around the front landing gear. What we do have a printed detail is on the belly of the aircraft, however, where we find the sunexpress.com branding or web address printed on once more, and we also have a hole in the fuselage for a stand, which however is not included with this aircraft model. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft and here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Boeing 737-800 in the Sun Express Eintracht Frankfurt special livery from Herpa Wings in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Well, there's no doubt, this aircraft sports a rather elaborate livery, and Herpa has done really excellent in recreating it here in scale 500. Herpa does also very well in recreating the 737-800. It is probably one of the best molds they have, and the overall physical detailing of the aircraft model is excellent. And if we only consider these things, then I would say absolutely the aircraft is worth having in one's collection, because it is a seriously good Herpa Wings model. Unfortunately, there are also some issues. According to Herpa, all aircraft models from the 0304 batch would receive additional details because aircraft models have gotten quite a lot more expensive. These additional details would typically entail some markings on the engines and static ports and sensors across the fuselage. This aircraft model was announced for the 0506 batch and should therefore have them. but Herpa has forgotten them. It's not the first time they break a promise, but it is especially bitter when we then consider the price of this aircraft model, which is a whopping 33 euros. That's the Herpa retail price. Yes, the livery is elaborate. Yes, there will most likely have been an additional license fee for Eintracht Frankfurt and not just the airline and Boeing. But still, 33 euros, and then not adding these details that you have promised your customers is a disgrace. And that's a shame because, as I say, the model is really good. It's just not 33 euros good. Now with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, why not leave a like? That would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.